What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Ultimate Career. We are here for round number 5 of the 2013 season. And yeah, drop a like if you're happy to see this series back. It would be great to see your guys' support down below. And yeah, it would be great to hear your guys' thoughts in terms of editing, what you'd like to see done with this series. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So last time out we were in Sakhir, the Bahrain International Circuit for round number 4 of the season. And as you can see on your screens now, Mark Webber took the win after Sergio Perez took pole. We managed to get 4th position, but we were pretty lucky in that race due to a couple of retirements. Fortunately though, we have moved back into the top 5 of the drivers' standings. Currently it's Fernando Alonso leading the way and Ferrari leading the way in the constructors. Williams are not in the top 5 at the moment. But today we are at the Catalonia circuit in Spain, and it's a circuit which we're hoping to do reasonably well on. And as you can see, we dominated the 2012 weekend, getting pole and the race win. But you know, this year there's a lot of front-running teams who have brought upgrades, although it is Sauber who are looking the quickest, and it was Esteban Gutierrez who was quickest in practice. We're going to be struggling with tyre wear, it has to be said this afternoon. You know, it's always the case around this circuit, but it was Lotus, in fact, who had the best long-run pace. I think mainly due to their tyre wear, but, you know, we're not sure what's going to go on. And, yeah, without further ado, let's get into qualifying. The sun was out then for qualifying, and I'm going to do a sort of a similar format for qualifying in today's qualifying report. So I'm just going to take you through my quickest lap, and once again it was a pretty tense qualifying session. So as you can see, we're currently lying in P12. We sort of went on a little warm-up lap to start with, and it's currently Kimi Raikkonen on pole with a 1 minute 21.2. We've got a lot of time to make up, and as you can see, coming through this first corner, sweeping through this section, really is a nice one. 22.7 is the time to look out for through the first sector. We run a little bit wide there, not the tidiest through that sweeping turn 3, but we are purple and nearly 4 tenths up on the Kimi Raikkonen, and 1/1000ths up on our own time. We lock the wheels there on the inside, and there's a Sauber of Nico Hülkenberg off the track who slightly puts us off, but it shouldn't hinder us too much. You can see Grosjean there in P11, a long way behind his teammate. And as we come through the tricky left-right section, we negotiate that well before the long right-hander, before the first DRS zone. We actually take a while to get onto the DRS, and now braking, you can see we're actually down by a 10th. It was a very scruffy middle sector from ourselves, so we've got a lot of time to make up in this final sector. But on our previous lap we really did mess up the final chicane, so hopefully we can get on better now as we flick it through that right-hander before coming to the final chicane, where it's a little bit of a lock-up but shouldn't hinder us too much. We take a lot of curb there and run all the way onto the outside curb, so that has really hindered our run to the line. Is it good enough though? We come across the line, and somehow that is enough for provisional pole. But as you can see, we're just driving round, you know, coming back to the pit lane, and Lewis Hamilton has snatched pole off us with a 1 minute 20.8, so he's smashed us out of the water. Felipe Massa moves up into 3rd, and if you look in the top left there, you can see Hülkenberg goes up to P2 before Nico Rosberg puts in a 1 minute 20.7, and it is a Mercedes 1-2 for the race on Sunday. Nico Hülkenberg, what a lap from him. As I said earlier, you know, Sauber are looking really quick this weekend, but we have put ourselves into a pretty good position for the race on Sunday. Let's see how we get on. Well, it was a hectic qualifying session, and here we are then looking at the strategy for the race. It's going to be a 3-stopper with a prime option being the recommended, so we'll see how that goes. Obviously, as I've already mentioned, tyre wear, it is probably going to hinder us at some point during the race, but we're going out onto the grid now in P4 on row 2, so we've put ourselves into a decent position, and there you can see it's an all Mercedes front row. And are they going to be struggling with tyre wear once again today, or are they going to be able able to overcome that. Our teammate Sam Bird all the way down in P14, so a poor session for him, but we could have easily been down there if we hadn't have pulled that lap out of the bag. But here you can see, revving up to the 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. Can we win it 2 years in a row? It's lights out and away we go here in Spain. And the tail's gone out a bit at the start. And as you can see, Kimi Raikkonen is coming for us into turn 1, as is Felipe Massa around the outside. But can we hold it? It is Nico Hülkenberg who's making moves into turn 1. It's all very clustered. And Hülkenberg has moved up into P2 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. We have managed to just about squeeze out Felipe Massa. And are we going to be able to make a move now into the hairpin here at turn 4? We are going to take a wide line and try and go around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. But Felipe Massa is now on a... Sorry, no, it isn't Felipe Massa. It's a McLaren on our outside of Sergio Perez, who's had a fantastic couple of corners, overtaking Massa and then overtaking ourselves. He goes up into P4. We're going to have to slot in behind him. And that is a dream start for the Mexican, who has had a lot of bad luck already this season. He retired from the lead last time out in Bahrain. And now it's looking even more difficult for us to take our first podium of the season. But we dive one down the inside and we've still got cold tyres. So that really hasn't worked as we tried to make a move on Sergio Perez. Fortunately, we didn't lose any positions. And, you know, we were just trying to conserve our tyres more than anything. Not trying to lock them up and damage them at this early stage. We managed to fend off Felipe Massa. And now Jenson Button is you know, sort of taken advantage of him. But we're just going to take a quick replay of the start now. And you can just see our back end really goes out from us, and yeah, it's a big lead that that Nico Rosberg actually managed to get into turn 1. He by far and away had the best start. We just about managed to get past Felipe Massa around the outside there, but yeah, coming towards the end of lap 3 now, we just could not keep pace with the cars in front. If you look on the right hand side, you can just see that the tyre wear gauge, and we were just struggling so much. Fortunately, we were actually managing to keep Kimi Raikkonen behind us, but come the end of lap 4, it was Fernando Alonso that was behind us, and we are squirming everywhere, and we have to come into the pit lane. I believe lap 7 was our scheduled pit stop, and that extra lap that we went for in qualifying doesn't look as if it's paid off. So yeah, it looks as if we're just going to have to completely mix up the strategy, maybe even go for 3 prime stints. But as I seem to remember from the past, the prime tyres around this circuit actually seem to be going pretty well, as Sergio Perez puts in the fastest lap of the race. But yeah, we're going to have to see how it goes. And yeah, we come out onto the track now in P16. So Adrian Sutil is behind us. He's obviously had a pretty poor start in the Force India, which doesn't seem to have much pace this weekend. And yeah, just getting our tyres up to temperature, and now onto lap 6. So the car in front of us is Jean-Eric Vergne, and as we come through this little complex, is coming through turn 13 and then the 14-15 chicane, we're just trying to line ourselves up for a move on Jean-Eric Vergne, switching to the cinematic view to see, you know, just how close we are to the Frenchman. So yeah, coming through the final corner, turn 16, and we're getting on the DRS. It looks as if it should be a pretty straightforward move at the start of lap 7 up into P15. And yeah, not really too many issues in getting past Jean-Eric Vergne. We really shouldn't be fighting these Toro Rossos. We've got the fresher tyres. I believe Daniel Ricciardo, who's in front of us now, should be coming in anytime soon. And can we make it 2 Toro Rosso overtakes in 1 lap? We're going to try it down into turn 10 at Le Caxa, or however you pronounce that turn name. And we just about keep it within the track limits. An easy move on Ricciardo. He didn't put up too much of a fight either. And yeah, up into P14, and Esteban Gutierrez is next up. So he's had a little bit of a disappointing race so far, seeing as Hülkenberg is so far up. But yeah, a few cars coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 7 and start of lap 8. We go up into P11. And I can't quite see who that is just in front of us. It's Fernando Alonso, so he's managed to get the jump. It was him who was right behind us when we came into the pit lane at the end of lap 4. But it's Gutierrez who's holding him up, holding Alonso up. Obviously, that Sauber has a bit of pace, but he's on older tyres and somehow has been able to just about contain Fernando Alonso. So going into turn 10 once again, and he's completely held up Alonso. We lock up our tyres, and we've just about managed to pull off a double overtake into the hairpin. Well, I can't say that is on pace alone, but somehow we've managed to overtake Fernando Alonso, and we now go up into P8. due to somebody else stopping. And is that Felipe Massa just in front of us, or was it him behind us? I think it was him behind us, because it is Lewis Hamilton, who I believe was in about P3 when we came into the pits. Who's actually just emerged in front of us. So yeah, we've made up a lot of time on these prime tyres, and as I mentioned in the pit stops, it looks as if on race pace the primes could in fact be as quick, if not even a little bit quicker, than the option tyres at the start of the stints. Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, we managed to, you know, we were just trying to keep with him, but obviously he has got the newer tyres, and once the options are up to temperature, it looks as if they are maybe just a little bit quicker. So we go up into P5 now once everybody has come into the pits, but there's a lot of cars who looks as if they may be 2-stopping this afternoon. We're going to be struggling to do a 3-stopper, because now we're on lap 13. We've been on these tyres for a good 9 laps now, and you can see our left front tyre is about to explode. It's Fernando Alonso behind us, and we lock that same tyre up, so that is not going to help us one bit. But we come into the pits anyway at the end of lap 13, and we did manage to get to the pit lane in front of Fernando Alonso. So yeah, it's going to be interesting just to see how this stint goes. Once again, we're fitting the prime tyres, and the plan at this stage is to do a 10-lap stint on these tyres, followed by another 10-lap stint at the end. So, you know, we've proven even at the start of the race we can do 9 laps on the prime tyres. Yes, it's a little bit of a push, but we should be able to do it nonetheless. So lap 15 now has just commenced, and Sebastian Vettel has set the fastest lap of the race with a 1 minute 21. So somehow we've managed to find 2 seconds on our fastest lap and do a 22.2. So yeah, we're really sort of getting into the groove with these tyres now, and we're up into P10, and we've actually jumped Fernando Alonso in the pit. So we haven't jumped him, but we've managed to keep out in front of him. I expected him to jump us, is what I should have said. But anyway, it's Lewis Hamilton just in front of us once again, and it is a little bit like deja vu. So we're not really making up any ground, nor are we losing any ground at this stage of the race, but we've put it up into rich mix. We're using the KERS and the DRS, and it's now or never on Lewis Hamilton. We go around the outside. He is squeezed to the inside. That is a lovely move from ourselves, if I do say so myself. Round the outside of Lewis Hamilton, who was on the front row of the grid. And he is moving down the field now into an effective P4 or P5, depending on what the stops are looking like. And now emerging from the pits, I believe, is Sebastian Vettel, who's managed to put himself into contention due to a longer second stint. But we sweep round the outside of him. But he does manage to emerge ahead of Lewis Hamilton. So, yeah, not a good race for the Mercedes, man. And, yeah, it's Sam Bird in the pits now. We move up into P6, and I believe it's Roman Grosjean and Kimi Raikkonen in front of us due to the fact that they've stopped 1 less times at the moment. But now we're starting lap 19 or lap 20, not quite sure which one it is. But nonetheless, Sebastian Vettel's going to go for a move. It's the start of lap 20, and he thinks better of it. And round the outside goes Lewis Hamilton of him. So way too tentative was Sebastian Vettel there. And on lap 21, it's going to be Lewis Hamilton trying to line up a move. We go a little bit wide there. Maybe touch a little bit of the gravel on the exit of turn 9. But as you can just see behind us, there's a little bit of a cluster of cars as we're struggling on our tyres. And just going over the gravel, left, right and centre, over the grass. But just look at the gap behind us now, and it's Fernando Alonso up into P7. So I was a little bit curious as to what happened. And if you look on the replay, Vettel completely takes out Hamilton at the rear. Vettel then gets forced to the outside, and Fernando Alonso ends up making up 2 positions. So pretty good for the Spaniard at his home Grand Prix. And there you can see Kimi Raikkonen and, Roman Grosjean, and I think it was Nico Hülkenberg coming out of the pit lane. So we've managed to jump both of them, but of course we had to come into the pits a lap later, so it's pretty much a race to the checkered flag now. I'm not quite sure what happened with the pit lane timer there. It wasn't a 10-second stop, it was just a straightforward 3-second stop, I believe. But yeah, you can see now it's Kimi Raikkonen on the exit of the pit, so he's done his final stop of the afternoon. So we are racing him for position now. We managed to get out just ahead of our teammate, so every person that we're racing now is for position. And yeah, it's Kimi Raikkonen who is well, looking as if he's going to pull off this two-stopper in a Lotus, which, as I said, maybe isn't the quickest, but on the long-run pace, with taking into account the tyre wear, they are very much in contention, as they have been at every racetrack this season. But we're trying to take advantage of the little bit extra fuel that we left ourselves, you know, due to conserving in that second stint. So we bumped it up to Rich Mix, popped it down into standard now as we're just behind Kimi Raikkonen, but we do manage to get within DRS ranges. There's someone else in the pits, which means we go up to P7, and is it going to be P6 going into turn 1? It looks like it is. We're side by side with Kimi Raikkonen. We sweep round the outside of turn 2, and we complete the move, and I believe it's Charles Pic in front of us, who is a lapped car. So if we can dispatch of him pretty easily, it's looking like it could be a good afternoon for us and a good haul of points once again. We went purple through that first sector, and now we are up into P5. The field's just, you know, starting to sort itself out now, due to the final pit stops, and there you can see Felipe Massa coming into the pit lane for his final stop of the afternoon. We go up into P4 as there's a car just glitched in the pit lane, which was really sort of throwing me off during the race. But yeah, P4, we couldn't manage to make up any more ground. It was Roman Grosjean in front of us. And yeah, we're here at the end of lap 32, so there's just one lap to go. We were really struggling on our tyres, and now Kimi Raikkonen is trying to take advantage of that. And I believe it is it's Fernando Alonso who is just tagging behind him. So he's managed to catch us up because our pace hasn't been good in the last couple of laps. Raikkonen looks for the move down the inside, but I think that is going to be the one and only opportunity he's going to get past us. And in fact, he's bottled it, and Fernando Alonso has got ahead of him. Lap 33 was very much a struggle for us. Just look at the tyre gauge. I believe we did 11 or 12 laps on these tyres, but we do manage to come home in P4. There was no chance for anyone to overtake, and it is another 12 points in the bag for ourselves. Not quite that podium that we were looking for, but around the racetrack, which, you know, could have really thrown us off. With the tyre wear, we could have easily scored a lot less points than that. I will take that any day. So as you can see, it was Sergio Perez who took the victory. I believe that's his second victory of the season. He was very lucky not to take it at Bahrain as well. Nico Rosberg and Roman Grosjean make up the podium. So Grosjean, you know, hats off to him for nursing his tyres. No points for Red Bull though this afternoon. 11th and 12th for their drivers. They'll be very disappointed with that, and our teammate in P14. Looking at the Drivers' Championship though, it's been a pretty decent afternoon for us. We go up into P3, and we're 24 points now behind Fernando Alonso. So, you know, we're still keeping within a race victory, which is pretty good, it has to be said. The constructors' standings are also looking a little bit better for Williams, even though, you know, Sam Bird didn't score any points. Obviously, Red Bull didn't score any at all this afternoon, so we've made up a few points on them. But it is still Ferrari leading the way. And next time, you can't miss this one, guys. It is the Monaco Grand Prix. I will be getting this one up for you guys next week. And yeah, you know, I'm at home at the moment, so able to record a lot more races. But yeah, smash a like if you've enjoyed this one. Comment down below what you thought about that race. And yeah, I'll see you guys in Monaco for another video. Take care. Bye bye.